Greetings and blessed day to you once again, people of God. Last time in season 4, Partnering God in Business, which is the season of creativity, we're explaining about the flexible multiple abilities, the oppressed talent, and the inconsistent business. In season 4, part 13, segment 13, and today we continue with season 4 once again, and we are focusing on the unproductive mindset and the unprogressive ideas. In season 4, part 14, we are not only focusing on the unproductive mindset and the unprogressive ideas in business, whilst partnering God, we are also focusing on the lack of creativity, which yields what is called an employee mentality. The lack of creative ideas, which yields an employee mentality as the end result. So for us to understand more on this dimension inside the season of creativity, emphasis, let's get into scriptures. In Luke chapter 16, verse 1, and it reads, and he said also unto his disciples, there was a certain rich man which had a steward, and the same was accused unto him that he had wasted his goods. You can imagine having a steward. I'll just represent this steward as a manager, the one that was in charge of this rich man's business, the one that is supposed to be accountable to all financial transfers, all the company income, and every other financial reason that is behind the company. So this steward is being accused of wasting not only money but goods. I want you to understand that for a company to run, it doesn't need only money, but it needs also assets. So if the scripture is saying the steward was wasting goods, it's very clear that he didn't start by wasting goods only, which are company properties. He was also wasting money itself, and he had reached the level of wasting even goods, because a business has got assets, and a business that has got assets is a business that has got a cash box. It has got a bank account, a business account. And after the master heard this through rumor, he called his steward to him, and he said unto him, how is it that I hear this of you? Give an account of thy stewardship, for you may no longer be a steward, wasting money and goods to the level that what gets you in trouble with your own boss, what brings the steward to a disciplinary hearing is not the lack of performance in terms of production performance under the company, but the people that were around, probably the employees or the society that was around, that surrounded that company, is the one that witnessed. They became eyewitnesses that realized that company funds were being wasted by this man, meaning there was no need of any bookkeeping or any stock take for the owner of the company, who was the rich man, for him to come and understand and to learn and to realize that there was a mismanagement of money that was happening inside his company. He only needed eyewitnesses who had been around the environment of that company to confess that there was a lot of money and goods that were being wasted. And all this being done by an unproductive mindset that was manifesting outside and reaching even the people in the community, being exercised by the steward himself. And he is being asked to give an account of his stewardship, for he may no longer be a steward. Then the steward said within himself, because he knew that he was guilty, he knew he had unprogressive ideas, he knew that he had an unproductive mindset, he knew that he could not do anything for himself, either inside the company or even outside the company. I want you to understand me. This man already has a position. If he was one person, he could be using that company money to be more productive than to use that company money to cause rumors that get him reported to his boss. Obviously, he was overspending money the unnecessary way that attracts the attention of even the outsiders who are not even part of that company. Meaning that whatever manifestation of ideas that led to the way that he spent money, it was not anything that was progressive. If it was anything that was progressive, the people around would not have reported him to the manager, to the owner rather. Then the steward decided within himself, after having known that he had been called for a disciplinary hearing to be questioned, how and why he had been wasting all that money and goods of the company. And he said within himself, what shall I do? For my Lord taketh away from me the stewardship. I cannot dig to beg, I am ashamed. Now, do you hear what the steward is saying? He says, I cannot dig to beg, I'm ashamed. He cannot dig and he cannot beg. And at the same time, do you know what? He cannot work. All he can do is waste. I'll repeat this again. He cannot dig, he cannot beg. At the same time, he cannot work. And he is one person that has defined himself that he easily gets ashamed and he wants to maintain a certain reputation. At the same time, he has no idea that is progressive. He has an unproductive mindset, but at the same time, he wants results, meaning that at the same time, he wants to spend, but he doesn't have any tangible idea. He doesn't have a productive mindset that is ready to yield any results inside the business of that rich man, which gives profits. He is all about losses. and he knows he is about to face a ruthless exit, and he knows that the same people that reported him to the owner of the company are the same people that are going to be laughing at him when he is fired. And this is one issue that he is not prepared to face. The fact that he has been living a careless lifestyle, whatever lifestyle that he was living, which was not accounted for, is the same lifestyle that he wants to continue living, a lifestyle that he doesn't afford, a lifestyle that is not funded for. But an unproductive mindset that was built by a lifestyle that was actually recording losses is what he yearns for, yet not working for it. Then he said unto himself, as if he had come up with the best and greatest idea, I am resolved what to do, that when I'm put out of the stewardship, when I'm fired, these were thoughts that were happening inside his mind. That when I'm fired, they may receive me into their houses. Realize again, all this time that when he was working, when he was driving cars up and down, when he was spending, when he was buying expensive things, you thought that the steward was very rich. You thought that everything in his life was working according to his plans. But in all this, because he's about to get fired, what we now learn about the steward is that he doesn't have a creative mind. He cannot build himself and he cannot build the company. The fact that he cannot build himself, it means he cannot build the company. He is not creative at all. It means he has an employee mentality. What is an employee mentality? It means he could not advance himself. He could not build himself to be more than an employee of being a steward. He could not surpass the level of being just a manager to own his own company. He failed to account. He failed to account for that level of being a manager. He failed to take responsibility so that he could operate at the level that is inspirational of being an employer, to handle the company of that rich man, to handle the company of that owner as his. Rather, he lacked that creativity. So after he had resolved of what to do, like I read earlier, he said, I resolved what to do, that when they put me out of this stewardship, when they put me out of this position, since this position is the only thing that he had, and when I'm put out of the stewardship, that they may receive me into their houses, because he didn't even also have a house. That is the proof. In all the spending spree that he had done, all the headlines that had caused him to get reported to his master, he didn't also have a house. So he called every one of his lord's debtors, and unto him he said, unto the first, how much do you owe my lord? Imagine, the one that is the manager of the company is the one that is asking the lord's debtors how much they owe their master. But this is the same that is supposed to know how much these people owe their master. It simply means, people, it simply means that he was even reckless. He was not accountable even to his own position. He was spending beyond and not only spending beyond. He was uncalculative. He was not accountable. He didn't even know. He would just issue out money. He would just issue out funds without even recording them. So there's no creativity inside this man. His employee mentality was even destroying the company itself. His mindset was unproductive. And after having called the first of his Lord's debtors unto him, he said unto the first, How much do you owe my master? And he said, 100 measures. And he said unto him, Take thy bill, sit down quickly, and write 50. Then he said to the another, And how much do you owe thy master? And he said, 100 measures of wheat. And he said unto him again, Take thy bill and write fourscore. What he is doing here is that he's going unto every one of his master's debtors, telling them to cancel each and every bill that they owe their master. And instead of giving the full required bill or payment, is cutting that bill into half the amount, meaning that is even causing a greater loss at the time that he is going to exit out. Even at the time of his exit, before he is even brought up before a disciplinary hearing of not being an accountable servant, of not being an accountable steward, before he even gets fired, upon his exit out of the company, is even causing a greater loss. He still doesn't have a productive mindset that is going to find ideas of how to recover the company dignity, position, and status. He is actually destroying the company upon his exit, because all this money that he is cutting down bills is money that was supposed to come back into the pocket of the company. But all this money now is no longer going to go back into the company pocket. It's going to go only half the amount, and the other half is going to not to collect it. It's going to be taken by those that were supposed to pay it back, so that he may only receive favors from the outsiders who do not even belong, or who don't even partake with any productive, reasonable aspects that relate to the company. And after all that he had done, we obviously know that the steward was then fired. But I want you to understand this. When the steward was obviously fired, there are issues that are obvious that came into play. And part of the main issue that is obvious that came into play is that that company did not survive for a long period if ever it continued after the steward was fired. Why? Because he had not only wasted the goods that we witnessed there, that we read when he was uh, cutting half down every bill of not only amounts but the goods of the company. It means the rich man ran a major loss, and it's most possible that the rich man himself he suffered a major great loss because of this steward who did not have an employer's mentality but an employee mentality, which was uncreative to the extent of misusing company money recklessly and carelessly. So people, I want you to develop that creative mindset in this season, whereby every dollar that you get is accounted for. I know there are petty looking amounts that appear as if they are petty, but they can not be accounted for in business, like money for airtime. But I want you to know that every dollar, every cent in business should be accounted for. It should be calculated, and that is the desired discipline whilst under your partnership with God. So for you to get those results, you need to follow suit according to the will of God that has been explained here. Until next time, have a great blessed day.